everyone, we're going to get started here shortly. We're going to bring everybody else in. Yes, Michelle.
Because you are God, no matter the odds, the outcome is always the same. Yeah. The words on the pages, the promise you made us, still have the final say. Come on, sing it. You will make a way. You always make a way. You will make a way. You always make a way. And I won't fear tomorrow, 'cause you're already in it. And my hope and my future is already written. Yeah. Because you are God, no matter the odds, the outcome is always the same. Yes, the words on the pages, the promise you made us, still
Good evening, everyone.
final say. You will make.
On behalf of Dr. Reverend George Banks and our gracious First Lady Keisha Banks and the entire Goler A.M.E. Zion Church family, we welcome you with open arms and a joyful heart. We are truly honored that you have chosen to spend this evening with us, and we hope that you feel the warmth of our church family, and we certainly hope that you'll come back and worship with us one fine Sunday, where the doors swing open on open hinges and the love of Christ is alive and well. May tonight bless you richly, and may you carry the blessing wherever you go. God bless you. Once again, welcome to Goler A.M.E. Zion Church.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Harrison. I'm the president of the local branch of the NAACP. I bring you greetings from our branch. I would like to thank Goler Memorial for partnering with us in this extravagant event. We are really happy to be here, and we hope you guys get a lot of information out of this. That's one of our goals in our administration, is to inform the citizens of this community and give them information that can help them prosper in the future. With that being said, I'm going to introduce our host for the evening, Mr. John Schweitzer, our housing chair for the NAACP Winston branch.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. One of my goals is, when I took on the role of being the housing chair, was to make sure that my community was informed about affordable housing. That's one of my pet peeves, right? A little bit about myself. I'm John Schweitzer, owner of Schweitzer Homes LLC. I'm a broker for 25 years. I'm a developer, and I'm a builder. So I cover all spectrums of the housing market. We're going to get right with the program, though. I'm going to go ahead and let Bianca start off. Did everybody have an agenda? Everybody has an agenda? Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Bianca Boykin Green. I'm the housing loan officer with Forsyth County Community and Economic Development, and I first want to thank Pastor Banks and also the NAACP for hosting this important event. What we do at Forsyth County Community and Economic Development, we do various things, and a lot of it evolves around asset building. And by that, we assist individuals in purchasing their home affordably. It used to be that they had to be first-time home buyers, but we have been able to work with individuals who may be purchasing their next home. A lot of folk may be downsizing, and so they want something smaller. But the main thing is that we help folk purchase affordably. We provide down payment assistance. We receive funds from HUD directly through the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Consortium, where we provide funds for people purchasing within the county jurisdiction. And then we receive an appropriation of funds from North Carolina Housing Finance Agency in Raleigh, North Carolina. What we've been able to do is to combine our funds. Because of this market that we're in, it's a lot different than it was pre-pandemic, and I'm sure you're aware of it, not only with the prices of rent, but also the prices of homes. And so with it being what it is in the market, it's necessitated us combining funds to where we can combine our local funds as well as the funds we receive from North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. And we are able to provide up to $70,000 to assist individuals in qualifying to receive a loan that's affordable. One of the main things with that is that when we're using the funds from North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, the mortgage lender needs to be a participating lender, meaning that they are utilizing the affordable home mortgage that North Carolina Housing Finance Agency provides. The funds that we provide, we're also able to combine them with our IDA, Individual Development Account Program, which is a program that Experiment in Self-Reliance facilitates, which is preparing people for home ownership. So it may be that an individual is working on budgeting, getting their finances together, learning what home ownership entails, and also they're able to save money. Because with any of the funds that we provide, there is a requirement that the home buyer contribute some of their funds towards their purchase. It's a minimal amount of $1,000, which is not hard to do, considering if you put down earnest money, deposit, maybe pay for inspections, appraisal, that's something that is not a barrier to being able to become a homeowner. But if they complete the IDA program, they're also eligible to receive up to $6,000 in grant funds. Now, the funds that we provide from North Carolina Housing Finance Agency or our local funds that we've received from HUD, those funds are what's called a 0% interest loan or soft second or silent second mortgage. There's no interest on it, but those funds are paid back when they have paid the first mortgage off. Years ago, we were able to help individuals purchase foreclosed homes, and those funds didn't require repayment, but the funds that we are utilizing now does have a repayment once they have completed the first mortgage. Now, this is not a welfare program. This is a program that empowers individuals because the sweet part about it is that they become a homeowner, but the most valuable part is that they understand what finances are. They understand what banking is. They understand what budgeting is. They understand what credit is. And so that's a part of our mission to help empower them so that when they acquire that asset, that home, they're able to maintain it, sustain it. We also provide funds through the IDA program for folk who are looking to become business owners. So we not only are passionate about them purchasing their home affordably, but those individuals who may have some other aspirations that they're able to pursue. In addition, we also have repair assistance for homeowners who may be needing assistance. We have elderly folk in our community might need assistance with plumbing, heating and cooling, roof, those various things where limited incomes are not enabling them to take care of those things. And so we have funds that we assist those eligible homeowners in getting those things repaired. And we also partner with other agencies in the community because it's like a family. We travel around, We work with the Housing Authority for individuals who might receive Section 8 that have acquired a housing choice voucher. And Ms. LaTanya Cole, she'll touch on that. But they're able to utilize that with their mortgage, so that's affordable as well. We work with Center for Homeownership. Sharon will touch on that, which is very important in being able to work with agencies that are legitimate, that have no other objective other than to help folk to become empowered, and especially when it involves their credit. And she'll touch on that because many of you may have seen the signs posted at different intersections: erase your debt, erase your credit. We want folk to utilize legitimate services that are going to benefit them and that's not going to jeopardize them being able to acquire that asset. And the most important thing, I've been doing this close to 25 years, and educating folk on what asset building is. Homeownership is one of the best vehicles for low to moderate income individuals or any individual for that matter, to acquire asset to build wealth for their families. And so not only in doing that, we stress that they are an asset. 90% of the individuals we work with are single parents, single men, grandparents that are, again, parenting. And so if they have made their mind up, and if they're committed to becoming a homeowner, there's a team of folk who we collaborate, we're passionate about it, that will do whatever we can do to help them become a homeowner.
Next. Sharon Thomas, Financial Pathways.
Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. I am Sharon Thomas at Financial Pathways of the Piedmont. I'm the housing director, and we have a program, the Center for Homeownership. And our program help first-time home buyers overcome obstacles to homeownership as well as barriers. We also assist them in a transition from renting to owning a home because it's totally different. So we empower them through our services. We offer pre-purchase counseling where we'll review their credit report, finances, and their budget, and we develop an individualized action plan to help them become mortgage ready, and we work with them until they close on their home. And as part of the action plan, it may include paying off some debt, reducing some debt, could mean if they don't have a lot of credit, they may need to apply for some low balance credit. And also we include savings goal. The saving goal for the Center for Homeownership is $3,500. And the reason why is because we know it's costs outside of closing. And we want them to be able to pay for those expenses prior to closing. So we do have a saving goal as well, and they have to pay off collections as well. So it's based on your finances. And we match your financial capabilities with one of the down payment assistance programs in the community. And like Bianca said, we partner with Bianca as well. We provide pre-purchase counseling for all the housing programs in the community, as well as our home buyer education workshop, where we educate them about the fundamentals of the home buying process. We want to make sure they understand what the process is and what part they play in it, and the other team members that's included as well. We're talking about realtors, lenders, and us as well, and Bianca for down payment assistance. So we want to make sure that they understand that we want them to achieve home ownership as well as know how to maintain home ownership. So we do offer a home maintenance workshop as well, where we go educate them about the maintenance of the home, electrical, plumbing, roofing, all that good stuff, and when you need to call a professional. We don't want them on YouTube Googling and don't do it. So we do educate them about the importance of maintaining a home because you're paying a lot of money for that home. So we want to make sure you understand how to preserve it. And, because your house can pay you eventually as equity is built. Also, we offer post-purchase counseling. Once a person purchases a home, they will meet with their counselors after 3 to 6 months because they need to come in and create another budget, emergency fund, to make sure that they can cover those repairs and maintenance costs. So we make sure they know the importance of changing your filters every few months, getting that AC and heating unit service once a year. So we partner with Bianca and them code department that actually facilitate that class for us, and it's free. Any homeowner can take it. And so in the post-purchase, we want to make sure they understand we help you on the front end and on the back end. We offer foreclosure prevention as well. So if they run into a situation and cannot make their mortgage payment, they can contact us, and we'll get them guidance around and contact the lender to find out what their options are to avoid foreclosure. So we do offer that service as well. We also include repairs, rehab information for the county, for the city of Winston-Salem. We just want to make sure that if they run into a situation during these 30 years, they know who to call. We also offer mortgage pre-qualification as well, and we just use the lender 4 C's, credit history, employment, and all that stuff to make sure they get qualified for down payment assistance. We do offer North Carolina Housing Finance Agency down payment assistance as well. That's up to $50,000 to help them with their down payment and closing cost fees. But the goal of all the housing programs is to make sure that they get the education that they need to understand how to maintain their home, not just achieve it. Okay, so that's what we do at the Center for Homeownership.
Hey, hold on, we're gonna back up a minute. We got another representative from Forsyth County. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Latanya Cole. I'm with Winston Salem Housing Authority. I am the Family Self-Sufficiency Coordinator. Everybody know that as the homeownership program. With this program, we want to, you can use your housing choice voucher, and this program is for anybody that has a voucher. You can only Section 8 people. You have to have had your voucher for at least a year. You could not have owned a home. You have to have some sort of income. And with my requirements, you have to have a credit score of 640 or above. You have to have $3,000 saved in the bank. If you're elderly or disabled, it's $2,000. You have to attend 5 financial literacy classes. Like she said, education is everything with us. We provide those classes for our people. You have to have the ability to secure a mortgage from a lender, in which we put that back on them because we want them to learn as well. We want them to research what this realtor does, look at the reviews, look at the reviews for this bank. What can this bank do for me? So we put some stuff back on them to do so we don't do everything. I'm looking at my cheat sheet, y'all, I'm sorry. It is a 5-year program. During that 5 years, well, first you'll come in, you'll meet with me. We'll go over whatever final goal you want to be your goal, whether it's homeownership, employment, you start your business. So once we research whatever your goal is, that's when we'll start. So with this program, as you get pay increases, you get rent increases. HUD takes the difference from your higher rent and your lower rent and places it in an escrow account for you. And that money grows. It grows over the 5 years. So at the end of those 5 years, if you met your goal, you met the requirements, then you can get that money back. I've cut checks for like $30,000, $21,000. That money grows. So you're also able to pull some of that money out of that account if you have a valid reason, whether it's your car and your goal is continued employment, so you have to have your car. So you can pull money out of that account to get that car fixed, but your money will still be growing. Some people want to start a business. You bring me your business plan. We're going to help you get that business going. If your goal is homeownership, okay, so go ahead and save up your money. Once you finish that program, you'll come in and you'll meet with me, and I'll give you what is called a first-time homeownership voucher. So that's your approval to go ahead and start working with your lender, go ahead and start working with your realtor and looking for your forever home. And a lot of people, they're not used to this, so we do let them know the importance of making sure that credit's straight, researching people, what it takes to keep a house going. You have to have money saved. Like if your refrigerator broke, you're not going to call the maintenance man. This is on you to get it done. So we try to educate them as much as possible in this program.
I got one question. So you're saying they can use a voucher to purchase a home?
Yes, a Section 8 voucher. And it'll pay, that voucher will pay up to 15 years of a 30-year mortgage. And that subsidy just depends on your income and your loan and your interest, things like that.
Yeah, I didn't think they understood that. That's why I was asking the question.
I'm glad.
I'm sure somebody else was asking. I got the mic. Yeah, Pastor Banks.
I didn't know this myself, but so you're saying that anyone that has a credit score of 640.
Not anyone, you have to have a Section 8 voucher.
Oh, no, I'm saying anyone in the Section 8 voucher and has, am I hearing it get mixed
Credit
up?
score is 640 or above.
640 or above, and they're on Section 8, they're eligible to look for a home. If
If they complete my program.
Now, how long is the program?
It's a 5-year program, but some people choose not, once you get all your requirements met, you can come out of that program, we call it graduating. Once you met all your requirements and your goal, you can come out at any time you want to, even if it's a month, if you met your goals. But I do ask them to wait so that they can start accruing that money so that when they come out of that program,
Right.
they'll have something to show for it.
Right.
And we can't tell you, okay, this money is for your house, that's your money.
Right, okay, I see.
But the only thing to that is, if you don't complete your goal by the 5 years, then you're terminated and that money goes back to HUD.
So you lose your eligibility to receive the voucher at that point?
No, then nothing happens to your Section 8 voucher, it's just the money. The escrow, because it's
Oh,
really,
okay,
it's
I got
not your escrow money, you're not putting anything in, it's money HUD is giving you. So if you don't complete those goals, they're gonna take it back.
So just interested, how many, I know this might be a difficult question to ask, but do you have an idea what percentage of people that are on Section 8 have taken advantage of this program?
It's, a lot of people wanna take advantage, since I've been there for 2 years, since I started, about 4 people have purchased
Okay.
in the 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
And we hope that that money is an incentive for people to take this serious and go ahead and do what they need to do and graduate from the program, because it really is a good start. Because if not, some people wouldn't even try.
What is the importance of a credit score, and how would you help me raise my credit score if it wasn't high enough?
We partner with Housing Authority of Winston-Salem as well, so any of their clients that need pre-purchase counseling can be referred to us. We are the only HUD-approved agency here in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, Financial Pathways of the Piedmont. So it depends on what your credit look like, okay? So if you have some collections, you need to pay them off. If you have high debt, you need to reduce your debt. So we'll create an action plan to let you know what you need to do to increase your score. And it is, the middle credit score is 640 for down payment assistance, to apply for a mortgage. We partner with we have a preferred list of realtors and lenders that we work with that want to work with first-time home buyers. So you don't have to go out here and look for anyone. You come and work with the Center for Homeownership, and we'll guide you through the process. And we can refer you to lenders, realtors, down payment assistance that's available in the community, because we have everything you need. It's a one-stop shop, okay?
And with this program, you don't necessarily have to buy a house that's already made. It can be a built house, a modular, a manufactured home. You can also find a home that's already built. So, yeah, there's this.
Manufactured home have to be new, and the manufacturer have to be attached to foundation.
So some people, they've had their houses built from the ground up. They get to pick their floor plans, everything.
So we don't have anything homes for you to purchase. It's up to our clients, the borrower, what they want to purchase. Okay?
So you're saying they can do a double wide as long as it's on a permanent foundation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It have to be on permanent and new,
Okay.
and not be used. The modular or manufacturing have to be new. Sure can.
Hey, thank you. We're gonna let First National Bank introduce herself. Then we're gonna go with Miss Ashley McKenzie Sharp.
Hello, my name is Michelle Malone. I'm with First National Bank. I come to you today with 25 years of mortgage loan origination experience. Currently, I am in a little different position. I am a community homeownership specialist, and I'm actually enjoying this because I'm out in the community a lot more. So tonight, I just come to give you a little bit of information about the program that we are offering for the community. First, I would like to say the key word tonight that I'm hearing is education. So the one thing, most important thing about homeownership is getting educated. These lovely ladies here, I've been working with them for, gosh, it's been a while. And I'm sure I can speak for them as well as myself. I called being a loan officer, working with the community and working with first-time home buyers, I call it to me, it's a calling. It's a blessing to be able to go do a job every day and leave and feel like you've accomplished and helped someone. It's very worthwhile to help someone purchase the biggest purchase that they'll probably do in their life. So being able to walk people through that process has been a blessing to me. But today I come to you to talk to you about First National Bank loan product. It's a 100% loan product. And we offer a $5,000 grant. So basically, you don't need a down payment for this particular loan. And you can get a $5,000 grant to assist you with your closing costs. Now, if you purchase a home in a majority-minority census tract, you can get an additional $15,000. What that means is if the property that you purchase is 50% or more diverse, which means minorities, Black, Asian, Indian, Latino, if that community is over 50% diverse, you get the additional $15,000. Now, with this particular program, you know, I work with the ladies with the other programs, North Carolina Housing, but this particular loan, you can qualify with a 620 credit score, okay? You cannot have any collections. You must have a certificate from a HUD agency, so you would go see Sharon and take her class to get certified. Because we want you to be educated and taking this big step. We want you to understand what you're getting into. We want you to be able to keep your home and grow your equity and leave an investment for your children. Also with this loan, you can do a rehab. So for example, if you see a property that you're interested in, but it needs a little bit of TLC, we can assist you with that purchase and get you the money that you need to do the repairs. However, it would have to be a licensed contractor to do the estimates, okay? And the money will go into an escrow account, and as the contractor's doing the improvements, he can draw money from the escrow account. This is a great program that we're trying to promote. Also, with this loan program, it's a 30-year fixed conventional loan. So for some of you, you may, once you go to Sharon's class, you'll learn the difference between an FHA and a conventional loan and what that means. But out here in the community, sellers prefer conventional loans versus FHA. It puts you a little ahead of the game for various reasons. But each person's situation is different. If you're interested in learning more about the product, feel free to give me a call. But it's a wonderful product that we are offering in the community.
Thank you so much. We have Miss Ashley McKenzie Sharp. Thank you. Can we get a round of applause for our presenters?
Hey guys, I am Ashley McKenzie Sharp with Highlands Residential Mortgage here in Winston-Salem, and this is Kim Alderman. She's one of the loan officers on my team. Been in the Winston-Salem market doing loans for, I think, 22 years now. Dates me. And love working with all of these ladies. We wanted to kind of go through the different loan products, kind of the steps to getting pre-approved, and then you guys can connect with all of these ladies and start the process of qualifying with the down payment assistance programs. Can I have a clicker? You want me to do that? So basically, this is the home buying journey, right? I wanted to kind of show you guys what it looks like. So you're first going to look at strategy, right? You're going to look at who's your realtor, who are you going to work with as far as, you know, your consultation. That's these ladies. And then you're going to go and you're going to look at financing, because honestly, before you go and look at properties, it makes a lot of sense to know what you qualify for. That way, when you go and look at properties, you're not looking at a $300,000 home, but in reality, you want to be able to qualify for $150,000, right? So that's a discussion that we can have right up front. We do an application. It is a soft inquiry on your credit. That is something that I think is key. A lot of people don't know that. They're very fearful of applying because they don't want that hard inquiry. It's a soft inquiry on your credit. We do that initially, we have the discussion, and then we come back when you're under contract and do the hard inquiry on your credit. So that gives you a little bit of peace of mind to at least like reach out and take the next step. Next step would be offer negotiation. That would be with your real estate agent, showings, protection, and then closing.
And a lot of times people kind of question what's the difference between the pre-qual process and the pre-approval process. And really just the pre-qualification is where you go before meeting with your realtor to find out, can you truly get into this home for the price that you want? Because a lot of times when you go with your realtor, they want to know that you've already taken that first step. And they want to know that you've talked to a bank, you've talked to a mortgage lender, and that you truly can afford that house that you're getting ready to make that contract on. So what we do is we take your information, we kind of look through your income, your assets, your credit, just to see kind of a high level where you are. And could you really get pre-qualified for this house? A pre-approval is where we really dive deep and we look at all of your income documentation, we look at your assets, we're verifying that what you say is in the bank is truly in the bank, and it really just gives you a true 100% feeling or knowledge that you're actually going to be able to approve that house, be able to approve to purchase the home. It takes a little bit more time. Pre-qualifications we can usually do within 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes it might take a day depending on how busy it is, but a pre-approval actually does take some time. We really want to look through that. That can take, 48, 72 hours if we have all the documentation. And the key is having all the documentation to get it there. Pre-approval, it's great, but it's as good as the paper that it's printed on, right? Things change. If your pre-approval is written for 150 and you're going to need 160, well, right there, you're going to have to go back and get requalified for that. Where with a pre-approval, we truly give you the accurate dollar figure that you can go up to. So it gives you some negotiation room in that aspect.
Do's and don'ts. You guys have probably heard a lot of these. You do want to ask a lot of questions. I think that's why we're all here, to just encourage education. There is no bad question when you're making the largest purchase that you're ever going to make, right? You do want to have access to your paycheck stubs. We will need those. And they have to be the actual paycheck stub. Like, it has to have all the information on it. It can't just be like what you deposit. And then we'll need bank statements. They can be online. We're fine with that. It just has to have your name on it, the account number, and the bank's name. So online, perfect. Make sure you have access to that. Provide documentation for the sale of your current home. That's if you're actually selling a home and buying another one. We'd need that. Let us know if you're going to receive gift funds or you're going to need a power of attorney. If you're going through something with, an ex-spouse, you might need a little bit extra documentation, and we'll talk you through that. Let us know if your employment changes. We have a lot of people who go under contract, and then they call me and they go, hey, I'm going to quit my job. And so we need to have a conversation about that if you're serious about buying a home, because you may want to wait, buy the house, and then change jobs, because it really depends on how you're getting paid. We have to look at the income. There's a lot of things that go into that. So don't quit your job after you've been pre-approved. Call us and let's talk about it and see if it's still an option. And then let us know if there's any marital status changes, and that's 100% just so we can walk you through the documentation that you need to have at closing. So again, don't change jobs. You don't want to make major purchases. I just had a lady today who called me and she goes, "Ashley, I'm so glad you told me because I was out this weekend and I was going to buy a car." And she just got pre-approved. And I was like, "You can't do that. You cannot buy a boat. You cannot buy a car. Like, you have to wait until you get the garage and then you can put a car in it. Own it first." Do not deposit undocumented funds. We have a lot of people who have a lot of money that they keep at home, mattress money, things like that. That is fine. There is a way to use that. We will walk you through that process. There's gifts, things like that. Don't run it through your account unless you're planning ahead and you deposit it now and you're going to buy in several months, because we're going to need a 60-day bank statement that shows no large cash deposits. Deposits from your 401k, IRS tax returns, your paycheck stubs, those are all fine. We're just talking about undocumented funds. Those don't deposit. You do not want to get a credit card cash advance. We've had that happen before where someone will go and pull money off of their credit card to pay for their earnest money or due diligence. That doesn't work. You actually have to have money saved in your account. You don't want to close or open any new lines of credit. Now, sometimes in the initial stages, if we're working on credit, then I will encourage you sometimes to open up a small secured credit card and start using that lightly. That is, a one-off thing. Once you're pre-approved, you do not want to open a new credit card. You do not want to close any lines of credit. When you close an active line of credit that you've been making payments on for a long time, that shuts down your credit. So your credit score can actually drop. So if that's something that you want to just get rid of credit cards and things like that, do that after you buy your home. That way you have time to recover. Change your closing date. That's something that we can have a conversation about. Yep, you got it. Contract timeline.
So the contract timeline is very similar to kind of the flow that we talked about earlier. Here, when you're meeting with your realtor, that's where you're going to have the conversation in regards to your earnest money. A lot of times you have earnest money or you have due diligence. And you've got to be really cautious when working with your realtor because you want to make sure that you truly understand what those two figures are. Because sometimes if you cancel those, you might not be able to get those monies back. So we want to make sure that you truly understand kind of the due diligence piece and the escrow piece. Once you finalize the contract and you've both signed, you've placed your earnest money deposit, then you're actually going to set up a home inspection. And this is really important because you're going to go out with a home inspector and find what there could be wrong with the property. We'd like to say that properties are always 100% fantastic, right? But that home inspector is going to find something, an outlet cover. Their goal is to find something wrong with that house, right? So it's going to be an outlet cover, or it could be a hole in the deck, or it could be this door is off a hinge a little bit. They're there to protect you, okay? So they want to make sure that when you're going through the due diligence period, you know everything that's incorrect with that house. So you can negotiate with it. You can make sure that things are fixed before you get to the closing table. And a lot of times it gives you some negotiation power. So if you have a roof that needs to be improved upon, or you have a leak that you've seen, you can go ahead and get those fixed and make sure that when you purchase it, those things are taken care of. At that point, your lender's ordering your appraisal. And this is going to be really important because the appraisal is another level of caution for you to understand truly what the house is worth, what issues that they may see, so then that way you know that what you're paying for that house is truly what the value is, okay? And keep in mind, it's not the tax value. So a lot of times they may be equal, they may be close, but it all depends on the comps or the recent sales around your area that are like type. So if you have a 3-bedroom house and a 2-bathroom home, you're not going to compare to a 5-bedroom house and a 3-bathroom home. You're going to be, again, evaluating that property on like type things. So it's really good to have that. And then review your title commitment. This is what's done with the attorney. They'll do a 30 or a 40-year title search. They'll go back and make sure that there aren't any prior liens against your property. They'll make sure that subcontractors haven't placed a lien or, something wasn't satisfied from the prior owner. they'll make sure that everything is free and clear. So when you get that home, it's 100% yours, and there's no question. Deliver final document requests for final underwriting. You know, we like to go through processes in mortgage 100 different ways. We want to make sure that we cover all of our bases. And part of that is just making sure that if you're, let's say, for instance, you're paid commission, we might need to see an additional paycheck to make sure that that commission is equal month over month. If you get a bonus and maybe we've pre-qualified you without the bonus, but now maybe there might be a little dip in the income, we always want to see that paperwork and make sure that we know exactly where you are in the process. Again, before you go to close, it's also a good time to do a final walkthrough because the inspector's been out there, the appraiser's been out there, but we had a storm Tuesday night, okay? And you're closing on Thursday. You want to make sure that everything is great in that house and nothing changed. So this gives you just another time to go out with your realtor, do a final inspection yourself, and make sure that everything's good and nothing's changed. And then the lender sends the final numbers to you. Typically, this is anywhere from 3 to 5 days before closing. Sometimes it's 24 to 48 hours, depending on what we need to get in. But this is just your last final notice, kind of to know exactly what you need to bring to the closing table, okay? You get your loan estimate at the beginning, which tells you kind of rough estimate of what it's going to be. There's tolerances involved. Some things have 0% tolerance. Some things have 10% tolerance. Some things have no tolerance. So you already kind of know the numbers. This just finalizes everything at the end for you. And then also, too, you go ahead and you sign. You turn over everything from the title company's fine. The attorney records your deed, and then you get your keys to your beautiful new home. So that's kind of a quick process to kind of show you everything that's involved there.
You can go like 2 more. So I just want to go through and just understand like your loan options, right? We're going to talk about Mortgage 101, credit, income, assets. We'll breeze through this. I know these ladies have already kind of gone through credit. But I do want to just talk a little bit about what is a credit score, what is it comprised of, what are we looking at, just because sometimes you can figure these things out and get your credit score up on your own, right? So typically for just a standard mortgage, not the down payment assistance programs, we need around a 580 credit score. Some programs will allow lower, but 580 is kind of the going. We're looking for on-time payments. We're looking for no more than 30% use of your revolving debt. So if you have a $200 credit card and that's the limit, you want to keep that balance at about $30. I tell people if you have a $200 credit card, go put $50 on it, make your first payment, let the balance post. That's how you're going to actually establish credit, is by using a credit card lightly and making the payments timely. That is the best way and the quickest way to have a small credit card. Bankruptcies, foreclosures, short sales, those all have waiting periods contingent on those are for people who have owned a home before with foreclosures and short sales. But with FHA, if you've been through a bankruptcy, you can qualify after 2 years from the discharge date. So definitely something that if you've been through a hardship, you can still buy a house. Affects your interest rate and your mortgage insurance percentage. That's probably the biggest catalyst for having a really good credit score, is that you're going to get a lower interest rate if you have a better credit score. Higher credit, lower rate. This is kind of the map of what your FICO score is comprised of. 35% is payment history. 30% is the amounts owed. 15% is the length of credit history. 10% is new credit. And 10% is the type of credit in use. So this is where I said if you had a credit card that you had 5 years ago, you don't want to close it out because you're closing down that history, right? So keep your balances low, keep your accounts on time, and then make sure that you keep those accounts open that you've had for a while. And then 720 and above is kind of your excellent score. 680 to 720, that's great. 620 to 680 is good. 580 to 620 is fair. And then 580 and below, that's going to be in the needs work category. Now, for understanding your income. You want to go over it?
So a lot of times, depending on the program, we can look at a couple different things. We can look at W-2 incomes, we can look at 1099, contractor incomes. We've got different things that help, different loans that help all types of people. So especially if you're self-employed. I know a lot of times we sometimes try to avoid Uncle Sam and maybe don't claim everything that we need to on self-employed. So we definitely, we look at all of that. On self-employed individuals, we look at 2 years of tax returns. A lot of times we'll average those 2 years. Same thing as commission. So if you're a commission employee or you receive a lot, or you're seasonal, we will look and kind of make sure that we compare those 2 years. For W-2 employees, we always look at a month's worth of pay stubs. So if you're paid weekly, obviously we would need 4. If you're paid bi-monthly or bi-weekly, we always need 2, okay? So we always make sure that we look at all types of income and determine not only your gross wage, but what your net wage is. And that's really how we establish your debt to income. We look at your credit and then compare it against your debts. And we have 2 different ratios we look at. We look at your front-end ratio, which is your housing expense and kind of shows what just your housing expense in relation to your income is, and then your back-end expense, which is your total debt. That includes your home that you're currently buying, and then any debt, credit cards, car loans, things like that you have. And depending on the program, we can go anywhere, sometimes even up to 50% on the debt to income. It just really depends on the program, your credit score, and things like that.
Assets quickly, that's what you've got in the bank. Checking, savings, brokerage, 401k, that's something that a lot of people forget about. If you have a retirement account, you could typically pull from your retirement account for a down payment. So that's something you could check out beforehand. Gift from family. If you have a family member who wants to give you money, take them up on it. There's a way to get it, but that is definitely an asset. Gift of equity from family. If you're buying a home from mom or dad, and they're going to sell it to you for a little less, then call us. There's a way to structure that deal where you can actually go on and use the gift of equity as your down payment. So if you're in that scenario, there is a way to use that without having a down payment or closing costs. Of course, down payment assistance, your employer can actually gift you money for your down payment. And then you can sell non-liquid assets such as car, boat, recreational vehicles. We just need a paper trail. So now we're going to go into the loan programs. First, I want to take you guys through kind of what makes up a mortgage payment, just so you guys understand what we're talking about. We say a lot of PITI, a lot of acronyms. PITI is principal, your interest, your property taxes, and your homeowner's insurance. And that's what your monthly mortgage payment is comprised of. You may have private mortgage insurance. That's something that you may have if you don't have 20% down, but payment, principal, interest, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, all included in your payment. I guess I'm buzzing. So understanding your loan programs. We've got 4 main programs that we offer that are a little bit different. So we go through USDA, VA, FHA, and conventional. You guys have probably heard about all of these programs, but what do they mean? USDA is a rural housing development program. It is 100% financing. There is a little bit of private mortgage insurance on it. There are income limits for the program, household income limits. So, and it's contingent on your household size and the county that you're buying in. So that's something that we have to look at to see whether or not you qualify. But it is 100% financing, so if you like to live out in the country, it is a great option. Rates are usually really low, and again, the PMI that they do charge is a little bit lower than some of the other programs. VA for our do we have any veterans in the house? Here we go. Yes. So VA, 100% financing. There is no PMI, no private mortgage insurance on these loans. If you receive 10% or more disability through the VA, you don't pay a funding fee, which is something that they'll finance in onto some of the loans. So VA is the way to go. If you are a veteran, take advantage of that. 100% financing, the closing costs are lower. This is a loan where you definitely can have a lower credit score and still qualify. We say 580. Depending on your full portfolio, we may be able to go lower. So definitely reach out to us if you want to look at VA financing. FHA is a super common program. A lot of people think that it's just for first-time home buyers. It is not. It is for move-up buyers too. We use it all the time. You put down 3.5%, and then you do have PMI. And you guys understand what PMI is? PMI is private mortgage insurance. It's something that secures the bank, right? It insures the bank. It doesn't insure you. So if you can't put 20% down, you'll pay a little bit of private mortgage insurance, but you're going to own a home. It's totally worth it. Totally worth it. So with FHA, you'll pay a little bit financed in and then a little bit monthly. But FHA is really forgiving as far as your credit score goes. If you've had some discrepancies in the past, if you had late payments, this is your program that will allow you to go down to 580, 550, and still put down 3.5%. So it's a really, really good option. Conventional, that's probably the creme de la creme program. If you're a first-time home buyer, you can put down 3%. A lot of people don't know that. So you can qualify with conventional and do 3%, which is less than FHA, right? You typically want to have a little higher credit score for a conventional loan to make sense. So we typically look 700 and greater. If you're down to 680, it might work. But we're just going to look at the full picture. These aren't one-size-fits-all programs. It's a discussion. We have to look at everything, and that's kind of what we do up front with you and talk through where you want things, right? Where do you want your payment? How much do you want to bring to the table? And the cool thing is all of these programs can be used with down payment assistance. Go through conventional.
Yeah, and I would just say one of the things, like we work a lot with these ladies over here, but we can do a lot of down payment assistance with those products that Ashley talked about, but we also have Homes for Heroes. So if you're a first responder, you've been in the military, you're a teacher, not only do you actually get to take advantage and work with a realtor that is actually kind of certified in that group to get your seller's concessions lower, we also knock off $500 off of your loan. So you save on title insurance, you save on other different fees. So if you are a first responder, that's also another way that we can kind of give back to the community, and it's a huge benefit for us. But yeah, conventional loans is great. Like Ashley mentioned, mortgage insurance, as long as you put down 20% of the deposit, you don't have to pay the private mortgage insurance. But the good thing is private mortgage insurance, once your value gets to 20% lower, so if you're in Forsyth County and we're going up on tax values, as soon as it gets to 78%, we can kind of challenge the mortgage entity in that scenario, and your private mortgage insurance goes away. So, in times where values are going higher, that definitely benefits because the value's there. But normally, it will just automatically drop at 78%. So as you pay down, that benefit, that benefit that you had to pay up front goes away. FHA, as Ashley mentioned, it's 3.5% down. This is a really great program. We do probably 60% of our loans are FHA. I will say it's a great program that we work with a lot of different people, and Ashley mentioned, for those that have maybe some questions or some blips on their credit report, or maybe they can't pay all of their collections off, this is a great product. It does allow for those blemishes, and it is something that gets you in the home, and a lot of times is better than, renting. You're actually owning something in that scenario. There are FHA property conditions, though. A lot of times we always want to make sure. This is where that property inspection comes in. This is where the appraisal comes in, because we have to make sure everything is functioning. So we are a little bit tougher on when it comes to housing. On FHA, you know, if there's a hole in the back of the deck, that has to be fixed. If the handrail's loose, you know, that creates a safety hazard. So think of it that way. If there's any type of safety hazard or anything that can impact your day-to-day life, those are going to have to be fixed on an FHA loan. And those will have to be fixed prior to you closing. So, you know, that includes lead-based paint. That includes 100 different things. But just think of it as anything safety-related or that can affect your day-to-day. It's kind of something that we would have to have fixed.
VA, I kind of went through, again, veterans, 100% financing, zero down, mortgage insurance is waived. This is the best program out there, period, hands down. And you guys deserve it, well deserved. VA and FHA both have kind of a stigma with them, right? So a conventional mortgage, the appraiser goes out to the property, they evaluate the value of the home, but they're not really looking at the structural integrity of the home. They're not going to look for peeling and chipping paint, holes in the wall, rotten wood. They may denote something if it's just blatant crazy. They may say, hey, look, you got to fix that. But with FHA and VA and USDA, these government programs, they want the house to be in good condition for you. So they do not want you to have peeling and chipping paint. They get really, really particular about these things. So when you are talking to your real estate agent and they're like, are you sure you can't qualify for conventional? That is why, because there's a stigma when you submit an offer with an FHA or a VA or USDA loan that the inspection is going to be a little more harsh. That really is probably the biggest thing. The biggest difference between the loans is just how they're viewed. So VA is the one loan where you're going to have to do, very similar to FHA, pest inspection. Pest inspection, pest inspection. USDA, again, we went through this, 100% financing, income restricted, has very similar requiremms as the FHA loan does with the peeling and chipping paint and just the way the property looks. There's a website on here that you can actually go to and you can put your income in and see if you qualify for your household. And then if you're out and you're searching for properties, you can enter in property addresses into this site and it will tell you if they're in a USDA eligible area. So this is the secret. You can call me and I'm happy to help too. So we'll skip through the property inspections. We will get to North Carolina Housing's down payment assistance program. So probably the quickest, the easiest down payment assistance program that is available is through North Carolina Housing. They offer it. It's $15,000 in assistance. You do need a 640 credit score to qualify. They do have income thresholds that you have to be within. A lot of times they're a little more generous than some of the other programs that they offer, the CPLP, the IDAs. So for a home in Forsyth County, family of 1 to 2, you can make $100,000 a year, and if you have a child, you can make $115,000. So this is household income. So it's going to go off of you and your spouse, or if your mom lives with you. We do factor in all income for the household for this calculation, but this can be used in conjunction with any of the programs that I mentioned. Even like a conventional loan, you can use the $15,000. You can cover your 3% down payment, and then you can apply the remaining portion towards your closing costs. So you could get into a home with little to no money out of pocket. This is a fantastic option. If you're a veteran, you can still use it. Even though you've got 100% financing, this can be applied towards your closing costs. This can be applied to help reduce your monthly payment. Really, we use this all the time. This is a fabulous program. It doesn't have all the inspection requirements. It's a pretty simple underwrite. And so with this program, you could actually qualify, go under contract, and we could close within that 30-day window without having to get like an extended time frame. So great option. And that is it. Any questions you guys have? I know that was a lot. None? Okay.
Okay, and they will be outside for a little bit after the network, okay? And, great. Yep.
Hello. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Berry. I'm with Piedmont Federal Bank. Before I get started, I want everybody in here to give themselves a pat on the back, a clap for themselves, because it's a Monday night. Y'all could have been watching the playoff game. Y'all could have been anywhere. So I want to give y'all, y'all props for coming tonight. So I appreciate everyone for coming tonight. Like I said, my name is Cameron. I'm from Piedmont Federal Bank, mortgage lender. Piedmont Federal, we are a local lender. We were founded here in Winston-Salem about 121 years ago. We're headquartered here. So yeah, we're here. Today, I'm going to talk to you all about banking products and some first-time homebuyer financing options. So first, with banking programs, so I'll say it's important for everyone to go around and check with your local banks, because every bank kind of has their own unique kind of first-time homebuyer financing options. So I'd say number one, go just check with each bank and kind of compare apples to apples, see what bank offers and what one doesn't, vice versa, and go along that way. Piedmont Federal, so we kind of have two first-time homebuyer programs. One is called the First-Time Homebuyer Dream Program, and that program actually kind of mirrors Bianca's down payment assistance program, so it kind of eliminates some of the red tape. With that, there is no private mortgage insurance, so you have no PMI with that program, as long as at least 10% is down on top of the assistance. You also get a reduced interest rate, so we give you a 0.25% or like a 0.25% off of our standard interest rate for that program. With that program, though, you also have to be under the 80% median area income threshold for that program as well. And then the two other main perks is that we refund the appraisal fee. Appraisal fee is normally about $580, $600, somewhere in there, so we refund you that at closing. And then lastly, we don't charge an origination fee. So you'll see when you're going around looking for a home, you'll see origination fee. That fee is normally about 1% of your loan amount. So if you're borrowing $200,000, that fee is about $2,000. So we waive that as well too. So that's the first time homebuyers dream program, okay? And then we have just a standard first time homebuyers program where you don't have to meet the area median income. And with that, there's no down payment, there's no PMI if you put down at least 10%. And you can also, utilize down payment assistance from other sources I'll kind of touch on later. And then both of those loans too, they are portfolio. So basically what that means is that your loan won't be sold. I'm not sure if anyone here has student loans or anything like that, or you know how you get the letter in the mail saying, hey, you got to pay someone else. You don't pay me, but pay someone else. So you don't get that letter in the mail with those two programs. And then kind of what Ashley and Michelle touched on, you have your Fannie Mae products, or that Home Ready, and you have your government loans, so your FHA, VA, have your loans like that as well. So all those are kind of some banking programs. Another one that I'll say, it's not really related to mortgage, but just a good tip. I'll say if you're saving for your down payment, you might want to consider putting your money into a high yield savings account. So basically what that is, it's a savings account, but you get a higher interest rate on it. So it's free money, why not, because your standard interest rate on a standard account, you're getting probably 0.05%, probably. You see, you know how you see in your savings account, you see that the dime that get deposited every month. You get that. That's what that is. All right. So with the high yield savings account, I think now they're about 3.5%, 4%. So it's free money. The money's just sitting there. Might as well get, the most you can get for that. So just a tip I'll kind of throw in there. So for some first time home buyer financing options, so there's also, we've already mentioned some down payment assistance out there. You have your North Carolina Housing Financing Agency. You have Bianca. We also offer one from Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta, so we partner with them. And they have 3 kind of different programs in one. So one is for their first-time home buyers, and it works with, it's called the Community Partners Program. So basically, if you work in the hospital, if you work for law enforcement, school system, anything like that, you get assistance up to $20,000 as long as you're within the income threshold. So that's one. And then there's just one for first-time home buyers, so that goes up to $17,500. You just have to be, in the area median income threshold with that one. So that's $17,500. And then lastly, there's a Workforce Housing Plus program that Federal Home Loan Bank offers. And with that one, instead of being 80% or below the median income, you can be 80% to 120%. So they have a little bit higher income threshold that they're able to work with on that. And just another tip I'd say too, just regarding down payment assistance, when you're looking around for assistance, make sure you're able to identify the differences between them. So a lot of them come with second liens on your home. So for example, the North Carolina Housing Financing Agency, for example, they have a 15-year forgiveness term, I believe it is. So just make sure with each assistance program you're aware of kind of what goes along with it, because some people think, you get the assistance, you get in the home, then they can refinance in a few years. You may run into issues with the down payment assistance because they have another lien behind your home. So I say just be kind of mindful of that. Lastly is really, so you have a private mortgage insurance. I know Ashley kind of touched on that as well. I'll just kind of piggyback. So just think of that as a tool. If you don't have the 20% down, just think of it as a tool to get into your home. It's not that much extra. I'd say it's definitely worth it to help you get into that home now than later. Everyone sees kind of what's happening with the economy and inflation and the prices, so I'd say it's better to kind of go ahead and try to get in the home if you can than wait, 2-3 years and same home you're looking at then went up another, $20,000, $30,000, same house. But that, last thing I want to add is kind of when you're looking in between lenders is you want to ask each lender for this thing called a loan estimate, all right? And what that is it breaks down, it takes your scenario and it breaks down the cost involved with each lender. And it lets you compare apples to apples with each lender. All right, so I say that right there is kind of your ticket. So you're able to see who's charging what for what. You're able to see interest rates, your APR. Your APR is, it's pretty much your interest rate, but it factors in all your closing costs and stuff like that as well too. So you might see with one lender, you're getting a 6% interest rate, but they might have a 6.5% APR or a higher APR. What does that mean? You're probably paying for it in closing costs elsewhere. That's why your APR is higher. So I'll just throw that in there as well. But that, pretty much kind of concludes, my presentation. Did anyone have any kind of questions or concerns? All right, thank you.
Yeah, and he will be outside also. Okay. All right, I'm pretty excited about this presenter right here. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Janae Adams. I own A.M.E Consulting. People know me. That do know me, I personally paid off $50,000 of debt in 2 years. And so for the last 15 years, I've been working not only here in the United States, but in the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, parts of Europe, as well as Canada, helping people with their finances with crowds around the world. And so tonight I wanted to kind of just go, I'm kind of just doing like a crash course when it comes to finances, because what I like to do is take complex money terms and make it a lot simple for everybody to kind of understand. And so I'll just go through my line. I literally just typed this up here in a minute ago, so just bear with me. But I will start off when it comes to student loans, because people up here, they're talking about credit, they're talking about being able to have the money to buy things. Well, if you didn't know, today is when collection started with the Department of Education. It's been since 5 years, since 2020, that you've not had to pay your student loans. So if you're someone with student loans and you haven't been told that you don't have to pay your student loans to a certain amount, to a certain time, because you're in the SAVE program, then you're fine. But if you're not one of those people, today is when they started the collections, and which is different from anything they've done in the past because of this administration. So what they're doing is that they're going to put you into collections, which means garnishing your wages, your Social Security check, and crashing your credit, okay? So we're in here talking about credit, we're talking about home buying. So if you're in any one of those situations, make sure that you get on the phone with the Department of Education, your student loan servicer, and get that handled ASAP. Also, for those of you who do have student loans, the great thing about the last administration under Marcia Fudge, who was over HUD, she put into place where you can have student loans. So that the main reason a lot of people can't get houses because student loans messes up your debt to income ratio. Well, with HUD, they made it possible that you can get at least their housing loans with your student loans. My best friend actually just got one that way, and she's been working for 22 years and a good job, but because her student loans were so high, she couldn't get one. She had been renting, paying $1,500 in rent. She can have a house, but she couldn't because of the debt to income ratio. So if you or someone you know has student loans and that's been their issue, to look at HUD. As far as down payments are concerned, in my opinion, money talks and everything else walks, period, especially in this economy, okay? We have, a lot of times we talk about credit and everything. People who come to the table with money, they get it like this, right? So if you're looking, and I love the information y'all share because I didn't know none of that. I love that. I love everything with the down payment assistance, all that good stuff. But this is just like gravy on top of what they're already offering. And so this is some ways to bring in extra money. So this is how I paid off $50,000 of debt in 2 years, okay? So this is, you can use the strategies I'm about to tell you what I did to pay off the debt to build up your down payment. So first and foremost, obviously, pay down the debt that you do have, bring in extra money for that. So any kind of tax refunds you get, selling things, okay? We sold things to pay down the debt. We also had side hustles. I taught tennis for $25 an hour and put that towards the debt. Also being able to, whenever you do pay off the debt, that let's say it's a credit card and you pay, it was $2,000, right? And you pay it off, if that monthly payment was $200 a month. You don't take that $200 and go eat out every couple of weeks or go on vacation. You take that $200 and put it now to your down payment for that home that you want. So it's about reallocation of money, all right? So whenever you pay down the debt, always take that money to put it into what you want. Another thing, cutting back or cutting out. So this is when I lose people, because everybody want to be a millionaire, but don't know about cutting nothing out. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So what you should do, and like I said, this is a crash course I'm doing right now, okay? So what I call a 2-week expense tracking, where you're going to track every penny that comes out of your household for 2 weeks, starting on the 1st of the month or the 15th. Every penny has to be tracked out your household. So if you go to the gas station and buy gas, that receipt needs to be kept. You go inside the gas station, buy soda for $1, that receipt needs to be kept. Because you need to know what you're spending each and every month. And people always tell me, Janae, my Verizon bill is $100, when in reality it's $110.11. So they're missing out on $10.11 every month, and they're doing that with everything. They're doing that with their rent. They're doing that with their car payment, their student loans, and they're losing out on thousands of dollars a year. So you have to know what you're actually spending each month before you can cut out or cut back. So when we were paying off the debt in 2 years, we found, let's say, cutting back on your cell phone, but we ain't had our unlimited plans. Y'all remember minutes and data. That's what we had, okay? We cut back on cable because that's when we had Time Warner Cable. I had the basic plan. We didn't eat out for 2 years. We didn't eat out. We didn't go on vacation. We didn't buy clothes because it was about paying off that debt, okay? So when we eat out during the month, that saved another $150. So those 3 expenses alone was $350 extra a month that we paid towards the debt. So our car note, which was $25,000 of that debt, was $400 a month. We didn't send them $400. We sent them $750 because we put the $350 on top. Now you start to see how $50,000 of debt gets paid off quickly. Now imagine you don't have any debt and you got $350 going towards that down payment every month. You get to that $3,000 or that $3,500 a lot faster. But it's about cutting out and cutting back in order to get there. The state of interest rates, okay? I love economics. I watched Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve like they my best friends. They meeting this week, okay? All right. More than likely, the interest rates are going to stay the same in this meeting. They may cut it in the next one. Understanding that, you have to think to yourself, I think he was talking about that y'all kind of go down on the interest rate, y'all pay something with that. Looking for those type of options and what it is. But understanding that if you have to go into this economy and have to deal with these interest rates, it's never going to get back to 3%, guys, by the way. You have to understand what I say, and I'm kind of skipping a couple, beat the interest strategy. This is what makes this work. Like, you got to go in at 7%. You don't have to stay in that for 30 years. The beat the interest rate works with anything that has principal and interest. So, like I said, that I paid extra to the car note, that's me beating the interest. With the student loans, it was $25,000. We were paying it so fast that they sent me a letter saying you're going to have to pay again for 10 years. That's how fast we were paying it. That's to beat the interest strategy. So when you pay extra to the principal of a mortgage, you pay it off quickly. So if you sit there and let it go for 30 years, so right now I'm aggressively paying off my mortgage. So if you let it sit there for 30 years, that $250,000 home that you bought, you now gave the bank $400,000. No offense to the banks in here. But that's how you keep from paying extra on a home, right? Another thing, pay attention to the loans you're getting. If you can, stay away from adjustable rate mortgages. If you want to know how 2008 happened, that's how it happened. Because a lot of people bought homes they couldn't afford. And so no offense to the banks again, I'm just talking about 2006, 2007, okay? I'm not talking about you all today. But 2006, 2007, you could have came in there as a ninja, like no income, no job, and they giving you a mortgage. Yep. And then as soon as, a lot of people got in there with no down payments or anything else. As soon as they lost their job, they lost their house. So in here, I want people to be, not to be house rich and cash poor. I want you to be cash rich and house rich, okay? And so it takes being able to understand that. Another thing, so stay away from adjustable rate mortgages. A lot of people that went and got those low mortgages at 3% just to get into a house in 2020 and 2021, and now those rates are starting to adjust. And they're adjusting up to 7%, and they can't afford their mortgages anymore. So when you're talking about, he's telling me, go ahead and jump in the house, kind of, some of you all might can wait, because unfortunately, at the end of this year and first quarter next year, or maybe second quarter, you're going to have some foreclosures on the market, unfortunately, because the economy in the fourth quarter going into next year is not going to be nice if the tariffs don't turn around anytime soon, okay? So you might can wait, and unfortunately, you'll be with somebody's misfortune, just like in 2008, 2009. Understanding that a house is not a rental. It's not an apartment, okay? Like they said, you break it, you fix it. But I'll give you an even more serious situation. I built my house, right, at age like 24, 25. And as we were building, the builder came up to me. I mean, stuff is built. Stuff's starting to go up. He said, yeah, so your water is across the street over there, which means we got to run a pipe up under the street to your house. I'm like, okay. And he was like, you're $7,000. I was like, what? So I said, you know what? I'm going to go down to the city with the water and see what they tell me. They told me $7,000 too. So Janae had to come up with $7,000 for our house to continue to get built. So when I tell you that a house is not an apartment, it is expensive if things don't go the right way. And then last but not least, understanding property rates, especially in today's ages, because all those people sold their houses for over the asking price, $100,000 sight unseen. And that's come to bite all the rest of us now. So when they sent me my property taxes, I looked at them like, are you crazy? Like, are you nuts? And I appealed it, and I got about $100,000 taken off of it, right? Because I'm not moving. I'm paying off my house. That's going to be my house. Like, okay. And so just remember that, depending on what neighborhoods you live in, some of them cheat you out of your property tax, at the rate, what it's worth. So you got to watch out for that as well, because you know how they were talking about getting rid of PMI? If they cheat, if the city cheat, no offense to the city, if they cheating you out of your, because I grew up down the street, my mom is 3 minutes away. I know her house worth more. So how can she grow generational wealth if you cheating her out of her property? Those are great built houses. I grew up in that house, so it's over 43 years old, and it's still going because it's brick. How is an all brick house not worth 200 grand plus in this economy? We know the answer why. But where I live in Kernsville, you put up my house 300 grand more than I bought it for. Come on. That don't make no sense. And so I appealed it and I won. So it's all these different things that go into owning a home than you think. And so I would just, as closing, I would just say, please take your time. Take advantage of, I wish I knew about those. I could have had a lot of money to go into that. But yeah, just take your time because it is the most expensive decision you are going to make, and it's a long-term decision that you're going to make in your life. And so don't step into it lightly. Don't let people pressure you into it. Don't get caught up in these bidding games because you will end up losing. Any questions? Thank you.
She will be outside also. Is Ms. Woodbury? Right now we're going to do a realtor forum, just like a realtor round table. If y'all have, I'm a realtor. Banks, we have another realtor in the house. If y'all have any questions y'all want to ask us about anything, here's the opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. Lordy, I don't know how I became the chosen one to be the moderator. But I am so excited to be here. Of course, my name is Shay Woodbury, and I am one of your Forsyth County commissioners. And I was getting ready to say something about that, Sister Rhonda, because I could see where this thing was going when Janae started talking about her property revaluation. For the record, we have not yet set the tax rate. That will happen, though, in June. Right now, you're receiving your reevaluations, and they are astronomically, exponentially higher than 4 years ago. And I highly recommend, just as Janae was empowered to do, appeal it. Appeal it. It is so bad, I'm just picking on him right now, but John Burgess, our tax collector, he has decided to retire. Yes. But any rate, I want to make sure that we give these gentlemen a chance to share with you their insight on real estate. I don't know what much else to say since I'm not a realtor, but I am going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves and share with you any valuable information as realtors. Of course, technically, I think you should go through a realtor unless you want yourself to buy and sell homes. So I think they have great advice. And at the end, I hope there is enough time for me to share with you how the county is also very engaged. Well, I shouldn't say very. We're trying to be very engaged in affordable housing because it benefits us as well to be a part of affordable housing in Forsyth County. And so hopefully at the end, I'll be able to share some quick updates, okay? All right, so we're going to start with my friend right here. Remind me, Jermaine Foster, Mr. Jermaine Foster. And then, of course, we have Reverend Banks, who's here. And, of course, give him a round of applause for hosting. This is one of the first housing summits I have been to inside of a church. So we want to uplift his ministry for building wealth in our community. And, of course, John Schweitzer, who is the chair of the Housing Committee for the NAACP. And if everyone in here represents the NAACP, if you can stand up. Of course, we have Mr. Harrison, who is the president of the NAACP. I know that he was introduced. So we have so many of the NAACP members in here tonight. Of course, this event is also being co-sponsored by the NAACP tonight. And I want to thank all of the presenters. Of course, Ms. Bianca, who represents our county very well. I want to thank her for coming out tonight. was Kirby here? I didn't see, okay, I saw his name, but I didn't see him. Kirby is the Director of Community Economic Development at the county, and so he and I work together. But I wanted to thank you all for being out tonight. Like the gentleman said, you could be anywhere, and you are here tonight learning about first-time home buying, which is so important as it relates to wealth building. I am a testament to that. The women who were talking about the HERO loan, so I was able to get, what is the program called through the federal government, where the good neighbor next door changed my life. Praise the Lord. I'm in the right place. All right, go ahead. You start first, yes.
Yes, I'm Jermaine Foster with Keller Williams Elite here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So tonight, this is really my real estate mentor. He got me involved in real estate because we've been talking about it for years. And that too. But we got involved, and I'm going to tell you, the way I used to look at realtors, I used to always say, God, why do I need a realtor when I can go and find my own home and buy my home myself? I mean, I can do this transaction. I'm this super smart guy that, figure this out. I'm going to do it myself and make this work. And because I didn't look at the value in it until I looked and start learning about what a realtor means. When I found out what a realtor really mean, I said, whoa. I said, God, that could have saved me from the mess that I had gotten myself into in the beginning, because me and my wife, we purchased a home, and we were in the home, and a month, the air conditioning unit went out. I'm looking around trying to figure out. I said, I just got the home, and I have a ton of bills. So when I look back on it, I could have saved myself because I did it with someone I thought was a friend, and he took advantage of me. And so that was a serious lesson for me, which made me really get involved with why I really wanted to be a realtor, because I want to be able to help people, to get them to understand the process, that never go through what me and my wife went through, because it was some crying together nights, because of the experiences of things that we went through, because we didn't have we wasn't educated on buying a home. We didn't understand it. But today, I'm here today, and thanks to Bishop Banks here, Pastor Banks, here, he carried me, he got me to understand it, and because everyone in here that knows him knows this is a talker. He would get you to understand exactly what, why you need to do it, you need to, So to make the long story short, I'm glad to be here tonight. He invited me here to, I guess to be informative to others, to help any way we can. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And any questions you have for us, we're here. Here you go.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank all of you for coming out. And, as a pastor, you think about, I used to worry about, I've been pastoring now, 24 years, and most basically half of my life, most of my adult life, I used to always worry about people showing up on Sunday morning, and then the Spirit spoke to me and said, don't worry about how many show up, just give the people who come what they need. And that's what tonight is about. And so I've been a real estate agent now 8 years, not long. Mrs. Price, I was my agent who, we built our house, and he said, man, you ought to go get your license. You'll be a good agent. So I did, and went and got it, and took the test, and I was sick, so I missed the agency part of it. And that's one of the biggest part of the test. And I passed it. And I was talking I wasn't doing much real estate. I was talking to one of the members. I said, man, I think I'm going to get this. I said, Pastor, don't you give that up. It takes forever to get that license. And so one of the things that people have about me, pastoring is my full-time job, but I think a lot of people think that with vocation, you know, I have to pay the same amount of money as these two gentlemen to keep my license, even though I'm not full-time. There's no part-time expense for real estate. Everything they have to pay, I have to pay. MLS fees, everything. So, you know, being a real estate agent, you got to almost kind of do at least one deal to break even. But I want to go back and pick it back up of what Jermaine said. From beginning, when you first go out and start looking at a home, to setting at that settlement table, which is really what, the settlement is what really the term of it is called. We call it closing, but it's really the settlement. To get a home from, to get somebody from that first process to the end is a minor miracle. It is so many things that can happen in the process. And I know you can speak to it because you've been doing a lot. In my 8 years, I've had so many things that happened. There was one house that I had that the guy, first of all, he got some money from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency that he had to pay back if he ever sold the house. Like you heard they talk about you pay off the first mortgage. And so the house was so messed up. He had this dog. It was a split level. He let the dog poop all over and down in the basement. Me and my broker in charge had to go pull it up. We had to plant grass. He went and moved to West Virginia and left everything in the house. I had to go by every day to check his mail to see if his income tax check came, because I had to mail him his income tax check in Beckley, West Virginia. I put it on the market. There's a gentleman here, I'm not going to mention names, who's been around a long time. And I can't say what he said to me because we're sitting in church. He said, you'll never sell that house. I said, the devil is a liar. We're going to sell this house. Ended up getting about 16 offers on it. It had to be a lot of concessions on it. But what ended up happening is because it was in such bad shape, we had to take so much less than what was in the neighborhood. Well, because we had to take so much less in the neighborhood, he had to file for a short sale. It's an internal thing with the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, so he wouldn't have to pay the money back because he was not going to clear anything. I did a short sale for him because he didn't know how to do it. We get to the closing table. We get to settlement. I get a call from an angry lawyer, cussing and fussing. I'm going to sue him. I'm going to sue him because you have to sign an affidavit that said that you don't have any liens on the property. Well, guess what? His son had ripped out the lining right there, the molding around the tub, right? Water seeped down. He had ServPro come out and find out where the leak was, so they cut down in the half basement. Well, guess what? He didn't pay ServPro. ServPro had a lien, the mechanic lien on it. We get to close the table. There's a lien. What we going to do? My broker in charge said, tell you what, we got two choices. We can walk away. He said, but 3% of something is better than 0% of nothing. Took it off our commission just to close that deal. So what I'm saying to you is this. Now, you know, markets change, and as much as we want to, it's not the commissioner's fault about what's happened. It's not sellers and buyers' fault. It's the market. It's the way the market was over the last 4 years. It was absolutely crazy. I saw houses that were pigs on a lipstick that people were people were buying houses I'm like, are you serious? Y'all offering this much for this house? And then you get 5 offers, and people are coming in. I mean, I heard of a story where somebody went there and put in, of course, they had big bank. They put down $200,000 due diligence. It was $1 million house. That due diligence money, you walk away, that money walks with it. So what I'm saying is, and I'm going to let John, because he's experienced with here, when you find a realtor, research that person, but also you trust your instincts. You have to find an honest person. And my sister Janae, see, if I was you, I'd have, did you use a realtor? That's your realtor's fault, because that's a material fact. Your realtor should have told you, because in the state of North Carolina, I know real estate agents aren't always looked at the high, but we can get in trouble for almost anything. We can get in trouble for stuff we don't even know about, because the real estate commission say you should have known. Am I right? Even if you don't tell us, the real estate commission say, well, you should have known that. Right. So that your agent should have told you, hey, that line only comes here. It's an easy call. You can just call downtown, and they'll tell you. That's why you got to find somebody. That's why, and for me, I do maybe 10, 12 deals a year, but I try to take my time with people, and because of that, I've gotten people who call me back who I've helped, because I take my time. I treat them like I treat my church folk, and I treat them good. But I take my time with folk. Y'all smile, church members. Because it is the biggest expense you're going to make in your life. And if you go in and the worst feeling in the world is having to put all that money and all that time in a situation, and you got yourself a dud, it will break your heart, because you're not going to spend, you will spend more money on this transaction you ever spend on anything else in life, because you got to be right. So you have to take your time, but you got to make sure you find great realtors like this young man here.
Thank you. I just want to say that one thing about a real estate profession, that we have what we call a fiduciary responsibility. Supposedly, we're supposed to have your best interest at hand all the time. Every day, every question is supposed to be for the benefit of you purchasing your home. That's our job. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to ask the question. I know you were going over, I know they want to know, I know, when you was going to a front end, back end debt ratio, could you give them a quick on what that front end consists of, like credit card debt, all those debts, and then the back end consists of? Did they go over the actual amounts? Like the 30%, 50%? Yeah, the ratios. Yeah, for different FHA and conventional loans. Okay, that's okay. Okay. It's just basically, I always say get a realtor, get a professional individual. I've been doing this 25 years. I started off in real estate. I backed up into developments. Then I actually reached out and started building homes myself, because I saw the process. And what I understood is that people didn't understand the process. They didn't understand how to purchase a home. When you come to me and say, hey, Mr. Sweats, I'm interested in purchasing a home, the first thing I'm going to say is, have you talked to a lender? Have you got a pre-approved? What's your debt ratio? What can we afford? The last thing I want to do is take you out to look at a property. Again, like I said, that's $350,000. You can't afford but $285,000, and it's hard to back you off of that $350,000. Once I done showed you that $350,000, that's locked in your brain. So get your professional, experienced real estate broker. Start off. They will guide you through the process, right? They will say, hey, this is what we need to do first. This is what we need to do second. This is what we need to do third. And they will put you in contact with these people that they have relationships with, that's going to make the whole transaction much, much easier. They're there to take the stress off of you in this most important purchase of your life. Okay? Now, I do want to give Dr. Woodbury an opportunity to say something. And then
Yes, so just a couple of updates. I do want to reiterate, the county does not dictate your home revaluation, the market does. But now you will be able to hold your county commissioners liable for your new tax rate that then will multiply with your new revaluation rate. So right now I'm hearing that we're going to go up about 1.5%. So what we're trying to do, of course, right now we're thinking about a revenue neutral tax year, meaning what does the tax rate needs to be to bring in the same amount of money or revenue that we had from last year, and that's a 0.47%. We know that the tax rate is currently 0.67, and so we are assuming that the county manager will present a budget where the tax rate is going to be about 0.49 and a half. So we'll see what happens, but at the end of the day, we are trying to make sure that we take in consideration a lot of the high revaluation and doing something about this. So I wanted to make sure we did not do anything nefarious about the revaluation, but when we deal with this tax rate, that's when, you know, at least for District A and one District B member, you'll be able to vote us right out of here come November, right? Because the election for District A and one of the District B members. I do want to say in District A, there is only 40% of home ownership, and that is not acceptable. We have spoken with Kirby and his team about making sure that we can figure out with our community how to increase home ownership, particularly in District A. If you don't know anything about the county, District A is in the middle of the county. It's just basically all of Winston-Salem. So we definitely need more workshops like this to help with affordable housing. And we all know that not everyone is going to buy a home. So what does affordable housing look like for renters? That is very important. And so the county is working with developers to figure out apartment rates that are capped off at $800 to $1,000 right now. If you go over to Peters Creek Parkway, you see the new apartments being built. So we were able to subsidize a $600,000, we actually forgave a $600,000 loan in order for the developer to build those apartments. They're 2-bedroom apartments, and they are capped off at $800 a month for at least 30 years. That was the only way we forgave the loan. So I do know that that is an option for some of the citizens. And I will lastly like to say that tonight the city approved finally the dollar sale of lots, and you had at least 3 developers that were approved for these dollar lots. What we know is that affordable housing on the development side start with how much is the land to build a house on. And so these dollar lots were given to developers. John Schweitzer was one of them. It's public information, so I'm not calling him out. So he's going to have to build affordable housing. He's going to be on the hook with the city to build affordable housing, right? So make sure you reach out to him about his timeline to build homes.
I have 2 going up right now, okay? 1017 Cap Street, 1023 Cap Street.
Yes. So that's a strong affordable housing component also that the city just approved, and I am so excited about that. Lastly, this is my last thing. One of the immediate acts that the county commissioners can do, and as citizens, you need to hold us accountable. We need to reimagine what planning and zoning is about in this age of we need more output as it relates to affordable housing, whether it's renting, whether it is buying. And right now, no one wants it in their backyard. So as developers are coming to the county around, hey, we need to rezone, to put more units out here, guess what? Citizens are coming, no, we don't want the traffic, we don't want this, and we don't want that. So there is a balancing act around rezoning, which is absolutely, according to all of the national experts, a major component to being able to meet the needs of affordable housing. But we live in a community and we have to figure this out. I just had the same conversation with some of our citizens out in Walkertown. They do not want the rezoning of property out there because it's going to it's going to make it inconvenient for them as it relates to a lot of the traffic and a heavier footprint and also disturbing nature. But as I told them, I'm from Walkertown. I went to Walkertown Middle School and then Carver because Walkertown High School wasn't there. So I get it. But I have to make decisions based on people who work every day and can't afford to live in quality housing. And that right there, I cannot go to sleep on thinking about where you're inconvenienced about traffic, but people working every day homeless. I'm talking about living in hotels, living with friends, living with family members. It is a real issue. There is a 14,000 single family need in Forsyth County. I will be dead and gone before we meet that challenge. So the more people we have out here, like a John Schweitzer, I think C2 Contractors was one of the awardees, and then it's a young, what is his name? Denton Construction. These are the 3 developers, African-American males. Yes, all 3 are African-American male-owned companies that got the dollar lots to build affordable housing. So I applaud them. Thank you all again so much for coming out tonight, allowing me to update you about what's going on in the county around affordable housing. Thank you.
So this will not be our last, this will not be the first nor the last. We'll get with the leadership in the NAACP and we'll figure this out because knowledge is power. I will also say to you that this church that we sit on, this property we sit on, this 15,000 square foot building sits on 27 acres of land. And we are, as a church, working with C2 Contractors. We're in the process of developing this land to include affordable housing, senior housing. There's a daycare, all which is needed. We're going to build us a sanctuary. This is going to be a performance arts center. So if you got to play one day, you can bring it here. So a sports complex right on this 27 acres. We are working on that right now because it's important, because the way I look at it like this is, what we do, our primary job, my primary responsibility is to help people with their souls. But we're just not soul and spirit. We're more than that. And so it's important that we minister to every part of a person. So that means their physical, their mental, their social, their cultural, their financial. We have to touch all of that. Churches can no longer be, Sunday morning concert places. This is real talk and real work. We're trying to help people in their lives. We're trying to transform lives every way. And so, and one more thing I want to say about a real estate agent. I think I heard somebody say, don't let agents push you into stuff because sometimes agents is looking at how many properties they can close on in a month, how many commission they gonna make. And let me tell you something about commission. There's no set commission in the state of North Carolina. It is negotiable. And you all know what you know what changed last year, right? Y'all know what changed. If you don't know what changed last year, something that happened out west in the Midwest that the National Association of Realtors, Lord Jesus, caved in, and for years the industry has been built upon sellers. When a ready, able buyer was brought to the table by a buyer's agent, that the seller, because they had the asset, would pay both sides of the commission because you have a buyer's agent. Now it's negotiable. A lot of sellers are still paying both sides of it because we used to could put it into the MLS, which is the multiple listing service. We can't anymore. But people call. But I can tell you right now, the market is shifting. And where it was a total seller's market, you could put a barn out there with some pigs in it and sell it. If you was in a few years ago, look, when you drive around, see how many for sale signs you see out. Because the pendulum's shifting. And it's about to be a buyer's market, which means, so the buyers are going to be able to negotiate. So that's good for people buying. People selling, it's a little bit challenging. There's still real estate being sold, but you have to know the market. And the 3 words in real estate, unfortunately, that is the most important thing. There are 3 words that are, 1 word that's repeated 3 times. Location, location, location. It doesn't matter, and that's just the reality of it, you know. It's where, unfortunately. So what that means is, in the areas where maybe people think are not desirable, it's our job, churches, groups, community groups, NAACP, we got to help build up the economic base in those communities, so those communities will be desirable again. So again, thank you all for coming. I have the closing remarks. We got tables set out with all these great folk that are here. Please go by and talk to someone. If you have an agent question, anybody, you know, I do know the pastor, so you can take your time. So, you know, we don't have to be out here at 9. I do know that fella pretty good. He's all right half the time. So, but no, because these are serious things. And we're going to do this again, and hopefully more people come out, because the worst thing you can do is go into a situation like this and not know what you're doing, because you're going to cause yourself a lot of angst. And you're going to be, and look, y'all don't know me. I just keep it 100. I'm real. Like the kids say, no cat. You're going to be doing a whole lot of cussing and a whole lot of fussing. You're going to be mad because you're going to leave money on the table. And nobody, and right now, we about on the verge of a recession. You don't need to leave any money on the table anywhere. Anywhere you can eat any little money out. And so, Miss Adams, I'm grateful for her, because you got to know how to, there's some things, there's some tricks out there that you got to know how to make your money work. And your money can work. You know, there's some credit cards out there that have rewards, but you got to know how to use credit. Don't do like my wife's saint aunt, who died in the 90s, got the credit card and blew it up, and then when they sent the bill, she said, I thought it was free. No, baby, you got to pay that back. So we want you to go out and visit with, so, you know, we're dismissed, and we want you to now to go out and visit. We thank Commissioner Woodbury for coming. We're going to do this again. We're going to keep doing it, because we have to keep doing it. We have to keep doing it. For those of you who want to come back, the Lord gave me this vision to do these five after resurrection, because we need to be resurrected. Next week, we have 2 more left. Next week, we're going to have Deb Burkham from the Stiff Center to talk about aging well, especially with, as it relates to dementia and Alzheimer's. And with a lot of attention paid to caregivers. So be here at 7, and then on the 19th will be our final one with our friend Carla Brown Rump from Clark and Brown and Sons Funeral Home, talking about final expenses. And why that's important is because as a pastor, we get to the end of the table, and you hadn't left anybody anything. Big mama ain't told nobody what to do, and family get to argue because you want to talk about the time when folk, you want waiting for folk to act up. A funeral and a wedding, they will show their behind. And I have seen it. So it's important that you have your information laid out, and if possible, have your money laid out. Let somebody, and it's for everybody. Now, y'all need to let folk know where your information is. Where's my will? Where's my insurance papers? Because you got to remember, people are mourning, and when a week time, they have to mourn you, deal with all the people that's coming to the house. Half of them they get tired of seeing, but folk are just away. You know, folk, everybody want to come to the house, spend 5 hours with you when you got stuff to do. Amen. Somebody tell the truth. God bless you. You got stuff to do, and they got to be nice, but you got to tell them, come on, you know, I got stuff to do. And 1 week, you got to flip around from somebody dying who you love to getting them ready to going to the funeral home. That's a process. And you exacerbate it when you have to start from 0. So I'm telling everybody, let more than one person know where your stuff is, because you will not be able to tell them. and if you do tell them, I don't want them to tell me that you told them. Y'all have a good night. Please go out and visit with them.